There are a ton of blues songs in the key of E, and if you're a beginner or intermediate blues guitar player, this can be both good and bad. Many of you watching this are probably familiar with this basic minor pentatonic box. And in the key of E, we can play this in two positions. In the open position, and up here at the 12th fret. Now there's a ton we can do with these two positions. But it leaves this whole middle section of the neck wide open, and there's so much great stuff we can play here. So today I'm going to show you a few fundamental things that'll hopefully open up the fretboard for you and get you inspired. Let's dive in. So this backing track we're playing over today is a 12-bar shuffle in the key of E. And if you'd like to download this backing track or any of the tabs for the stuff I'm going to show you, that's all going to be available over on my Patreon site. The link is down in the description to this video. So today, everything I'm going to show you sits in the middle of the neck, right here around this 5th fret position. And there's three fundamental things we need to know. We need to know our basic chord shapes, our arpeggio shapes, which are going to lay out the chord tones, and then a few basic scales we can use to build blues vocabulary and kind of tie everything together. So to start out, we've got three chords in a 12-bar blues. We've got our 1 chord, the E, we've got our 4 chord A, and we've got our 5 chord B. Now I'm using the chord shapes that fit in this one position. So for our E, we're using like an open C shape, but moved up. For our A, we're using an E bar chord, but moved up and barred. And for our B shape, we're using like an open G chord, but moved up with a B in the root. Now these are all dominant 7 chords, so we can voice these chords with the flat 7. So for E7, I like to play that voicing. For A7, I play this voicing. And for B7, I play this voicing. So that's kind of the foundation that we're going to build upon. So from here, we can use these chord shapes as a guideline for finding our arpeggios. And this is going to lay out all the chord tones, the root, major third, 5th, and flat 7 to all these dominant chords. So to start with E7, I'm going to start right here on this root note E. Then I'm going to go up to the major third, which is G sharp, then to the 5th, B, and then to the flat 7, D. And then just keep going up, root, 3rd, 5th. From E, I can go down too. I have a few notes below that E root note. So I have the flat 7, I have the 5th, and the 3rd. So all together across all 6 strings, I have. So there's my chord tones to an E7 in that position that fits along with that chord grip. So now we can go through our other 2 chords, our A7. We have A, the root, C sharp, the major third, E, the 5th, and G, the flat 7. We can play that, continuing up across all 6 strings. And then our B, where we have B, the root, D sharp, the major third, F sharp, the 5th, and A, the flat 7. And then root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7, root. All right, so now that we've got our basic chord grips and our basic chord tones, we need to know a few scales that we can use to kind of build some basic blues licks out of. So I'm going to show you the major pentatonic, the minor pentatonic, and then we'll do the full scale for an E7 chord, which would be an E dominant scale or an E mixolydian scale. So for these, since we're in the key of E, I'm just going to show you the scales in the key of E. I don't really think about changing scales when I change chords. I don't usually think about going to a different key when I change to a different chord in the progression. I usually try to tie everything together with scales that are in the key and then use the arpeggios and the chord tones to target specific notes to outline the chords. So our E major pentatonic scale in this position is and our minor pentatonic in this position and then our full E dominant 7 scale. All right, so now let's jump into this first solo example. I'm going to stick all in this one position, and I'm going to use all this fundamental stuff, these arpeggios and scales, to play some lines and to play some bluesy stuff and to target the chord tones as the chord changes happen. Here's the first solo. So I start out this solo with a little motif that I repeat twice. It starts out very major pentatonic. I'm sliding up to the 6th interval, then the root, and then bending from the 2nd up to the 3rd. And then right here I come down, kind of a minor pentatonic idea, right? But really I'm thinking about this chord shape, and I'm trying to target notes in the chord, like the root, the flat 7, the 5th, and then down to the root again. Then I repeat that phrase a second time. And at the end, I do a little voice leading thing where I walk down chromatically from the root down to the flat 7. And the whole point of this is to pull your ear to where we're going, the next chord, the A7. And from here, I go down and target chord tones of the A7, which are all out of this arpeggio shape. So there's the 3rd of A7, the root, and the flat 7. So chord tones that really drive home the sound of that chord, because those are the notes found within the chord. Now we've created a little motif, so we just repeat that again. And then we're back to our E, so this time I'm going to do a little bit more minor pentatonic. Right, all out of this minor pentatonic scale right there in that position. So again, knowing this stuff in position really opens up the fretboard, and you realize you have so much stuff to play just in one spot. Now when we go to the 5 chord, again, I'm seeing the chord shape first, and then because I've practiced it, I know where all the chord tones are in that position that fit along with that chord grip. So I just slide up to the 3rd, 5th, flat 7, root, it's all right there. Now we're only playing that chord for 1 bar, so I'm just going to play one little lick. Then we go to the A7, And I'm here, so I'm thinking right up an A7 arpeggio. There's the root, third, fifth, flat, 7, root. And then I'm going back to E, so from here I'm thinking blues, I'm thinking major and minor pentatonic stuff. Really, you can tag it any way you like, play any type of blues lick you want. So let's move on to another solo example. I'll show you another approach using some different vocabulary, but all in the same position. Here's solo number 2. So for this solo, I employ some double stops. This is just playing 2 notes at the same time. It's a nice little technique to add a little fatness to your solo. So with this one, I start by going right up the major pentatonic scale, and then I grab the flat 7 and the 9 in the key of E, which is kind of like the top part of this chord voicing right here. And then I come down, right, just a little nice double stop flavor. The second time I go down on that. But again, this is all right out of, this is all out of that Mixolydian scale. Then from here, going into the 4 chord, I kind of do a little combination of that major and minor pentatonic. Then we're on the 4 chord. So again, I'm thinking about these chord tones. Right, there's the 3rd of the chord, the 5th, the flat 7, and then I just play like a little line to kind of put a little flavor on those notes. And then I'm back into our original motif. Then when we get to the 5 chord, last time I played, this time I'm going to play out of that same arpeggio shape, but I'm going to play up in a higher register. Right out of this, you can look at this top part of this chord voicing right here. Right, so that's the root, 3rd, 5th, and I just sneak the 4th in there. Right, that. Right, we lead right into the 4 chord. Because I'm on the root note there. If I go up 1 whole step, now I'm on the 3rd of that A chord. And then I just come down to any type of E blues lick I want to wrap it up with. The key to this whole thing is, as you're building your basic blues vocabulary, licks to play in different positions, having some knowledge of the arpeggio shapes and the chord tones, which really comes down to knowing the basic chord grips. First and foremost, just being able to visually see these chord shapes helps so much. And then taking the time to practice the actual arpeggios so that when you visually see those chords, you kind of know what's going on and where all your chord tones are. Adding that in as you're building solos and taking the time to write little motifs like this, little solo etudes where you actually compose like a 12-bar solo and force yourself to use some of these fundamental things you're practicing. So let's go ahead and move on to solo number 3. so for this third solo, I break away from using repetitive motifs and I add some more chromatic notes into the mix. I also start to stretch out the position a little bit. One of the things that's nice about practicing and limiting yourself to one position is that it makes it much easier to then start adding and incorporating things up or down the fretboard. So for this, I start out by coming up to this C sharp note, the sixth, and then this kind of classic blues bend where we're grabbing the fifth and the minor third and bending that minor third up to a major third. And then a lot of the same major and minor pentatonic blues vocabulary we used in the previous solos. Then to get to the 4 chord and to kind of just change things up, I use a little chromatic move. Walking up from the 3rd to the 5th of the chord. And again, this is all chord tone stuff. There's an E major triad, and I'm just going chromatic, and then right there's the flat 7. Again, all of this is chord tone stuff. 5th, 3rd, root, flat 7. Right, and again, I have my chord tones to the A chord. Right, that's a blues line that starts out with an A major triad. All that is an A7 arpeggio. Root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7, root of A7. And then I come down and land on the E root note as we change back to the E chord. And I like to add these little chromatic embellishments. Right, going from A, B, and then sneaking that B flat in there. Then this time when we go to the 5 chord, I kind of keep with this chromatic theme, and I do, again, walking down from the 5th to the 3rd, and doing just a little fun little movement there. And then again, similar blues licks using that A7 arpeggio. Right, so tons of great stuff in these solo examples. Again, you can head over to the Patreon site to get full tabs and notation for all this stuff. This is a great backing track. We did this in the studio. This is Adam Wakefield on Hammond B3, Tim Marks on Fender bass, and Wes Little on drums. So really great musicians, really playing together. So if you get this backing track, it's like really jamming with great musicians. You get all the tabs. I put all the Guitar Pro files on there, Guitar Pro files on there, so you can practice along with that stuff too. And if you're interested in getting even deeper into blues stuff, check out my melodic blues soloing course. We put that out last week, and it's been doing really great. A lot of great reviews on that. So dig this stuff. Hopefully this will open up a new part of the fretboard for you and get you playing some new stuff when you're jamming over a blues in the key of E. Until next time, happy practicing and take care.